Okay, good day. This is JD here. I'm back from a short vacation or a short break out there in YouTube land, and thanks for joining me in my channel. If you want me to do watch service for you, contact me at jdwatchservice@gmail.com. I've only got 3 watches on the bench right now, so I could probably accommodate another couple of watches as the summer burns down and the spring starts to come along. Or was that wrong? Oh yeah, the fall. It's one of those months. I think when you're a watchmaker, you lose all track of time. So it's pretty bad that watchmakers can't tell the time. Anyway, watch check. So I've got this very nice Blue Angels Citizen's watch on right now. I'm just going to take this off because it's pretty cool. So this is a Blue Angels. It even looks like Blue Angels in the back here. So Blue Angels. It's a solar watch. As you can see, and it just ticks away without any care in the world. In this particular watch, you actually don't have to set the time ever, and if you press this little button on the side here, see if I can press that and you can see what happens. You press this little button on the side and all of a sudden, bam, it tells me that it did contact the radio tower in the US and get the proper time. So this time, there we go, and that probably did that last night. So this time is 100% accurate. So I'm not sure if you could call it atomic time, but that little dial on the bottom flips over and it's notifying me that it did do that job last night. So I wear this watch when I want to know exactly what time it is, and I'm not wearing an automatic watch. So of all my watches that aren't automatic, I have very few of them. This one I bought because of the radio signal, synchronizing your time with a radio signal, which is pretty cool. So it's much better than getting the radio. So this is a pretty cool watch. Plus it's got, there's if you're an aircraft guy, it's got all kinds of calculators here that can tell you exactly when you're going to run out of fuel. Not a good thing. So I just know that if you're at 90,000 feet, take away the zeros, multiply by 3, that's how far away you are away from your landing spot. There you go, some quick math for you. So here we've got this old vintage watch that I was working on for a gentleman named Luke, and it's a beautiful old watch. It is a Waltham. The face is on this side here. I'm not going to bother taking all this stuff out. So I've repaired this watch. I've replaced the balance staff on this watch, and it's got the balance is good there. I tested it and there wasn't enough power. So I got into the mainspring here, and I looked at the way this barrel is configured. So I'm going to zoom in here and just have a little chat about this barrel for a second and the issues that you can have with putting a mainspring in a barrel such as this. And this is the barrel right here, and I'll zoom in and let's talk about that for a second. So this Mainspring Barrel is a pain in the Batinsky. There's some French for you. So I'm going to move over to a different camera here and see if I can get a close-up. Alright, there is the Mainspring Barrel. So what is critical about this Mainspring Barrel? Well, first of all, this barrel isn't the typical barrel that you'd see that has the barrel part here and then a cap. That's what you typically see, and then you'd have the gear for the mainspring would be on the bottom part of this barrel as opposed to the top. So it actually the mainspring is hooked onto the arbor of this barrel on the geared part, or the ratcheting part, the geared part. So it's on the top. So the arbor itself is hooked onto the top. But the mainspring is actually in the barrel. So you've got effectively two sides of this, or two halves of this barrel, right? So what you've got is when this thing snaps, or the mainspring is set, which means the spring is kind of all wound up and it doesn't have any life left in it, right? Which means it's not giving the watch through the train enough power to drive right through to the impulse jewel. Then you got to replace the mainspring on there. So the critical part, I'm going to do some drawing here just to show you, but as you can see, the gear on the top is tilted ever so slightly. right? So that's tilted ever so slightly, and that gear acts as a cap as well for the barrel, and the mainspring is wound up in here. And on the bottom of this, you've got a little square pivot on the end that fits into the ratchet that winds it, right? Or I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it winds this up, gives it all of the tension that it needs to unwind, and then push that energy through to the train. So here's what the issue is. Let me just stop recording here and then set myself up to do a little drawing. Okay, based on my camera angle, my drawing will be at an angle as well. I'm going to use my tweezers here to draw lines. So what you have here is you've got a plate that's over that mainspring. So let me draw the plate here. I'm just going to draw this straight lines here so it's pretty easy to see. So you've got the plate like this over the mainspring. Now, on that plate there's a hole on the top, and that's where the pivot for that mainspring, the barrel would go through. So that's this. Let me get this into view here, and let me also get the line into view. This is a great drawing, but if you can't see it, it's not so good, right? So there's the pivot I'm talking about. So this is the plate that would be on the watch on the top. So it would be resting on the top of this. I'm not going to refocus here, but as you can see this movement right here, there's the balance cock there, and beside it is where that plate would be over the top of that of the mainspring barrel. So this pivot would be going through here, the barrel, so you get a little pivot like that. And I'll just color this in solid, right? And there's a hole in that plate. In this case, the hole is not jeweled. And I'm just going to exaggerate a bit just so you can see, because it's less space than I'm showing, so I'm just exaggerating just a bit. And then this pivot would go through the top of this plate. So you've got yourself the arbor for the mainspring is in the top. So I'll just draw the arbor here. So you're going through like this, and then it's fattening up like that. And I'll just make a hook. I'll just do a hook like this. This is not what the hook looks like, but I'll do a hook like this. So that's the arbor, and then this is the other side of the arbor, let's say, and then that goes down. Let's say it goes down this far like that and like this, and then the bottom of this goes through a ratchet wheel that winds that mainspring. So this goes through, and this is square. So this one here is basically square on the end like that, right? So this part is square. So that would be the arbor. So then you've got a barrel, right, holding all that nice stuff. So your barrel would be, let me draw the barrel here. I'm going to draw it with dotted lines. So there's the barrel on the bottom part that you're seeing. So if I flip that over, that's this barrel right here, like that. And then part way up, let's go to here, for example. That's the other part of the barrel. I'm going to draw dotted lines again. I'm not sure how far I went last time, but let me just put my great drafting device here, right? And that's that part there. Okay. Now, this barrel is in fact open, so I'm showing you the edge like this. So, but this is open. This is an open barrel. So from the top, if you look at the top of this, you're looking at a barrel. I can draw this. You're looking at a barrel like that, and it's got a barrel wall like this, and there's the arbor there on the inside, and then the spring would be wrapped around here, right? But if you took this arbor out completely, this spring would be wrapped around the barrel, and this arbor would have nothing to do with the barrel. Because on the top of this, I've got, draw this now, I've got an actual cap for the barrel, I'll call it, that is, it's a little bigger than a barrel, and it has all the teeth. So let me draw this again, see if I can do this without screwing it up. And it's a little bit further than that. So that's this there. And let's say these are the teeth, right? probably should have colored this, but there's the cap right there with the teeth. So that's effectively what the barrel looks like. And remember, this top part is simply the plate that holds the barrel into place, and on the bottom part you've got the watch itself, which is the bottom part of the movement, basically, right? So you've got this part here, and that they've got a ratchet wheel down here, right? That's, in fact, it's got teeth as well. Let me just draw that really quickly here. And there's the square end that goes through, right? So that grips this here. And then this guy's got teeth as well, right? And when you wind this movement up, or sorry, when you wind the barrel up, and there's the click spring over here that's preventing it from going back. There's a screw, we'll say, for the click spring. This here would turn, right? I'll just do an arrow here. So this would rotate, and the mainspring would be winding up in here. So I'm going to draw the mainspring. I should draw, I'm going to probably color all this stuff. The mainspring would be here, like this, and that would be wrapped around this guy here in a spiral and hooked on. Now this, as you can see, the mainspring is hooked on, but the arbor is actually hugging the top of that barrel, right? So where the gear is, and this gear is actually, this is a gear that's actually on the other side providing power to the center wheel. So you'd have the center wheel here, I'll draw a center wheel here, touching this gear here, and then driving it. So, and it's got teeth as well. So those two teeth, so it's mainspring driving the center wheel. Actually, I kind of screwed that up. This would have to be the pinion of the center wheel. So this would drive, let me just go down here. This would actually be over the top and driving the pinion. So it would be, I got this drawing a bit wrong, folks, a bit wrong. But anyway, it's driving this part here. So forget what I said here. So anyway, so this is the driving part. So here's the problem. So this is my cool little diagram here. If you put a mainspring in here that's too small, right? So it's not wide enough, for example. It's hooking on here, right? And the arbor and the mainspring are not completely lined up properly, right? So if it's too small in there, it's likely to not align the top because this is free floating. So this barrel cap here, as you can see, and there's an angle on it, right? It's actually free floating. So any movement of that mainspring not being aligned properly is going to make that cap not be flat. That's the issue. So if the mainspring is too small, first of all, it's going to have not enough power, right, to drive it. So you're looking at the width. If you have a mainspring, if I just look at this as a mainspring here, their distance here is what I'm talking about, and this thing would wind around. The thickness of the mainspring, if I look at it sideways, would be this here, right? So this width, distance, and this thickness, right, is what gives it the strength. And then there's the actual length of the mainspring, which gives it its 7 revolutions or whatever it is, but that gives it its duration of unwinding, right? So if this thing isn't exactly the right size, then it's going to cause issues when it's hooked on here. If it's too small, it could be at an angle, right? Which in that angle is going to cause this gear on the top of the barrel to be at an angle, just like this one is here, right? And if that top of the barrel is at an angle, what that causes is it causes this to touch the plate on the top, which fouls it, basically. So you're fouling the plate on the top by not having this at the right angle, because if this goes up a little bit here, then it's going to go down a little bit here, right? And that tilting like this is going to foul this top of the barrel that's geared, right? That's tooth geared. to the top of the plate holding the mainspring barrel in. So in replacing this, you need to go to the manufacturer's spec to get the exact right width of this thing, right? How high is this spring sitting in this barrel, right? To take this spring out, actually all you do is you hold the barrel and you reverse the direction of the wind, and the hook will unhook from the hook in the on the mainspring and allow that to be released. So when I got this watch, I thought, well, I could just replace this. I think I got a mainspring in there, and that's close enough. And it was very close. It kind of fit, no issue. But the problem was actually the height of the mainspring, and causing this to be off a bit. Now, this is the original one I put back in. It's not the one that I tried to replace it with. It's the original one, and the original one gave the top a bit of an angle as well, which is no darn good, because it's going to foul this a bit or cause a bit of friction, and then you don't have the power going through. So that's my discussion on these particular type barrels. This is a very early watch. I think it was like 1901 or 1890 or something, 1899. Very, very early size 6 watch, I believe. I don't think it's a 0. Yeah, I think it's a size 6 watch, but very early size 6 Waltham. And you can see the angle of that barrel, and that angle is because that mainspring either is not the right size or it's coned. And what I mean by a coned mainspring is that if you looked at that mainspring sideways and it's going around and around and around, what it ends up doing is coming up like this, and then coning like this. So not Conan like the Conan the Barbarian, it's coning. So there's the mainspring kind of winding around, and there's an angle here which is giving it a cone, where you really want, if this were sitting in here, you'd want the whole thing to be just flat, absolutely flat. So if you're looking at it from the top, it's wound around like this, right, with the arbor, and you look at it from the side view, right, and the side view, I'm going to go draw over here for a second. If I look at the side view of this thing, if it's coned, then you're seeing leaves that are coming up like this until it gets to the center. And so any coning of that, right, which could be from bad watchmaking, right, would cause this barrel cap to lift up. So the barrel could be coned. If the mainspring is actually too big in here, right, it's going to push this barrel cap up too far to be useful. So it's going to cause too much friction over here, and then you've got a problem. So you've got to replace this mainspring with the exact spec because of the way this barrel is built. So that's my lecture on this today. This is a beautiful little movement here, and I've got and I'll just see if I can zoom a bit in here. There we go. So there's that lower ratchet wheel I talked about, and there's the click spring right there. And I discussed this barrel, the bottom part of that barrel, with the pinion or the pivoter going through, and it's square. So this winds that up, and then I've got a plate that goes on top, just like I said. So I'm waiting for a part right now because Luke's like, "Where's my darn watch? I've been waiting for 20 years for this thing." And I'm waiting for that mainspring. I've got it from Cousins UK, good guys, but shipping sometimes is a little slow because it's UK. So there's the Chatty McChatty pants on that mainspring barrel that needs to be have the right mainspring in it. I sourced the mainspring through a book that I have. So let me grab this book and come back. So there's the book. It's called American Watch Movements. And I've got a bunch of tabs in there. And I can't remember if I tabbed this particular one, no, but you've got basically, when you go to the American Watch pocket watches and you look up a Waltham watch, you can find the mainspring, the barrel, all kinds of information about that particular mainspring. In this case, I think there were two different types of mainsprings, or barrels. But you can find this quite easily using this book. It's a very good book. It's got all the old pocket watches in it, and it's great for sourcing parts because it breaks the part down. It shows you what it looks like. It's got the part number and list, and then you can go Google the crap out of it to see if you can find that part and then source it. And again, because I'm in Canada, I go to Cousins UK, so I don't have to deal with the broker guys at the border between Canada and the US. So they're not only stopping COVID people from going across, but they're also stopping watch parts and charging me money for the brokerage fee just in case the watch parts have got COVID. Just a joke. So that's the book right there. So you want to get that book. It's priceless, and to source the right parts, and in this case here you want exactly the right part for this particular watch, or it won't be repaired properly. So I'm waiting for the part. So that's my little chat today on this. I should be able to get the part next week then when the mail comes in. If not, I'll call them and see if they can track this part for me, and so we can get Luke's watch up and running again. So the other thing I did just before I cut out here is that to test this, to make sure I was right about the strength of the barrel, I put a little tiny bit of pressure on the center wheel, just sort of simulating the barrel to see if that balance would spin nicely, and it did. So the balance turned really well when I put a little tiny bit of pressure on that center wheel, which means in this case, just like I suspected, I think the mainspring that was in there is either not the right one, or it was causing too much friction by the center part of that cap touching the plate that holds the barrel in. So I think that was the problem. Sorry for looking down. Sorry for looking down. Anyway, so that's my talk this morning. I got some stuff to do this week, but I'll probably end up reassembling Bori's watch. A very nice watch that I was working on. I think it's a 23 or 24 jewel Elgin. And I'll probably make a video on the reassembling of that watch. And again, if you want any watch service done, then email me at jdwatchservice@gmail.com. jdwatchservice@gmail.com. It's right up there. Have a look right there, and we can talk about the watch, the problem you have with it, and how that might be repaired. I usually don't just do cleaning of watches where you just clean and oil it, take it apart, cleaning and oil it. I actually repair these things if someone has a watch and it's just not working, because I've got to diagnose the problem and make sure it's good. So I think my rates are very reasonable, and everything's negotiable, and really if it takes me a lot less time, I charge you a lot less. So it just depends on how much time the whole effort takes, and I guarantee my work. So if this watch doesn't end up working, this one in particular, say, then Luke is going to have a lucky day, except he was missing it for quite a while. So, but there's no reason for me not to get a watch working. As you've seen in some of my other videos, I've replaced jewels, I've made balance staffs, I've done pretty much everything. The only thing I'm not accomplished at right now is repairing the dials properly. I've done a bit of dial work by painting the dial with enamel paint very carefully, but I'm really not a dial guy. I did buy the dial foot soldering machine, so I can reinstall dial feet now, which is kind of a cool thing. It's fun too because there's lots of sparks. I enjoy that, and I can do lots of other things on watches too. So I can make. I actually made a crown once, although I don't like making crowns, but I did make a crown once. So anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching my channel. Click the like thing. I guess that helps with algorithms for people subscribing to your channel. And that's a thumb up. It's called a thumb up because a thumb up is, I guess, good unless you're hitchhiking and no one picks you up. Then that's a bad thumb. Okay, you need to replace your thumb with a thumb that's going to give you a drive. I remember just before I go, and I'm chatty McPants. My mom, years ago when I was a kid, she used to she'd drive her car, and as was a very friendly person, there'd be somebody hitchhiking, and she would slow down the car, and I was in the car with her with this one time. She slowed down the car, and then the guy would be walking towards the car to get a drive, and then she'd speed up the car and drive away. And I said, Mom, why are you doing that? She goes, well, I was afraid of hitting him. So I slowed down. And then once I got back past him, I sped up. I said, did you see him in your rearview mirror running at the car and perhaps showing you one of his fingers? And she goes, I didn't see that. So she was a notorious fake hitchhiker picker-upper. So anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching my channel. And if you got any questions, ask them, and please leave comments. And if you want to see any other explanation of different things, let me know. Thanks, bye.